if I understand the customer needs, if I make customers happy. And for that, I need empathy. I have to really understand customer needs, and I have to have the possibility to find right processes, technological things, software that helps me to solve that and make the customer happy.
I think you really have to understand how e-commerce works. That is the first thing. And then, of course, it's a lot of learning because in general, in all of the industries, but specifically in e-commerce, it's often a learning opportunity, and you should always also have a conversation with your customers, because I think this is really important. It doesn't matter if it's a business customer or end customer. You really have to have the conversation to understand what is really important for them and how you can build up the value proposition the best possible way that you are successful as an e-commerce business or e-commerce manager and e-commerce business. And I think this is the most important piece for a successful e-commerce manager.
I think to be a good e-commerce manager depends. If you're an entrepreneur and you're working for yourself and you're your own boss, be good to your employees. People I've seen who are entrepreneurs in e-commerce, they are very hardworking, but this is a personal thing, this is not a tech thing, but they tend to overwork and they tend to obsess a lot over numbers. So while data is great, it's very important to make sure that you're not obsessing over it and you are giving yourself the time to let the data mature. A lot of times they put up a sale and then every 3 minutes we are looking at the numbers and like, oh, it's not working, we should change this or that, or blah, blah, blah. Wait for a day, see what the frequency is, use benchmarks from the industry. I had an example of a person who was selling hoodies and sweatshirts, and then he introduced, he was selling accessories, and then he introduced hoodies and sweatshirts, and he noticed that his accessories were selling at 5% conversion, which is great, but the hoodies and sweatshirts were only selling at 3%, and he wasn't sure. He spent a lot of time trying to rework everything. But when we met, I explained to him, we noticed that a lot of hoodies and sweatshirts actually overall have only a 2% conversion rate anyways in the market. And he was selling at 3%, which is higher actually. But so the mistake that he was making was he was comparing one completely different product and how it is used and bought with another completely different product. So we have to keep all of those things in mind and not stress ourselves unnecessarily. I think that is good management in e-commerce. We do want to use data, but we don't want it to rule us.
I think it's important to be always abreast of new technology which is coming around. At the same time, as I said, it's important to understand what not to do, right? But in order for you to understand what not to do, you should know what are new trends coming up, right? So you should not, ever be left behind, and always empower your team to use this technology for improving their productivity. So I think that is the way for any digital leader, be it e-commerce or any other omni-channel retailer as such.
I know everybody is speaking about soft skills and everybody wants to be an inspirational leader and keynote speaker, blah, blah, blah. That you see it in every LinkedIn profile, but these kind of skills, they don't write a single line of code. They don't make the sales experience necessarily better for the customer. So what is your hard skill? Which topics can you solve? What do you bring to the table? Of course, you need some social skills. That's always helpful, but they need to be in a good balance. You have these two things in mind. And finally, look who is currently actually at the top. Look for an environment where the rising stars are, or where a rising star is. There you can learn the most, especially if a company is strongly growing. There are a lot of opportunities. It's like within soccer. If you want to play first league, Bundesliga, better try that you make it to the big teams because they have proper education and training centers. You will not win the Champions League if you live, for example, in Bielefeld. And maybe you have to consider Munich, London, or whatever. You need to get in touch in the environment where the music is played. And this is important, and try to build your network there.
To become a good e-commerce manager and to become a good manager, it's always good to listen to the needs of your employees and to listen to the needs of your consumers.
It's really important to know what's trending in the specific industries. So what are skincare brands? What are furniture, interior trends, developments, what's changing about packaging, sustainability might be a topic that's important. So I think as an e-com manager, you have to be a very holistic, savvy person in terms of industry disruptors and also trends that are emerging.
So I think it's essential to have a deep understanding of your audience, a very deep understanding of your product. And then it's important to really interact and communicate with your audience, really understand and implement what they are saying. It's super important to know your software and your platform your e-commerce is built on and all the technologies. And I think it's essential to always be curious, always wanting to learn and always to want to embrace new technologies, ways of communication and so on.
So for the one who wants to be, I think, good e-commerce manager, I would identify it's starting with having authentic communication skills, having a solid leadership background and influence of his environment, and as well as being quite close to everyday learning, especially in the developments of technology, because we are living in an era of disruption and we need to be up to date.